Our new sponsor, Better, is a fast-growing daily fantasy sports app. When you sign up using promo code Playbook in all caps, you receive a free $10 and a 100% deposit match up to $25. Welcome to the NBA Hangout presented by Playbook Sports. I'm your host, Brandon. With me, as always, is Dave. Dave, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's been an exciting start to the NBA season. Some might say one of the best starts we've had in recent memory. So with that, we have a lot to talk about. You know, we got this episode is going to be a lot about it's early, but is there some trends we can figure out here? Are these things real? Are these things fake? But we'll get into all of it. How's your first couple weeks in the NBA been?
It's been emotional, but it's been fun. Right? It's been up and down. It's been you got to think of your team first, right? Before thinking about everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And to think of the Raptors first, like they opened and they showed such promise. Like, oh, it's all been building to this. We just crushed Atlanta, darlings of the offseason, and then they lost 4 in a row. But they've won 2 since, so it's a roller coaster. And I feel like that's probably most the case for most of the fan bases.
Yeah, I think most of this team, especially when you look at the East, it's a lot of 3-3, 4-2, 3-3, 4-2 teams. Not much real separation there. So yeah, I think you could feel that throughout a lot. Like I could even say that coming from a Heat perspective, like a lot has been made about their offense and how new it's been and how good it's looked at certain times. I mean, I think the offense, it's like one of the best in the league right now currently. I mean, they've only played 6 games, but still their pace is tremendously better from any year that Spo's been a part of them. But then they win a couple games, they win 3 games, and then they drop 2 in a row against good teams, against Wemby and against Lakers. But it still doesn't leave you with the best feeling in your mouth when those things kind of happen.
No, you feel exposed. You feel like all the positivity you were just looking at just goes out the window, and every question comes back. You're like, oh, yeah. Do we have enough shooting? Do we have enough spacing? Do we have a point guard? When's Tyler Hero gonna get healthy?
Yeah. When's Norm coming back? I think he's coming back tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's do we is the 2 is a big rotation of Ware and Jovic playing, I guess, more of a wing role, but the young guys that you held off of for trades in the offseason, that you want to focus on and still develop. Was it worth it? You want to see if that's worth it or not. So all the emotions, but a team that has separated themselves from the rest of the pack somewhat in the East is the Philadelphia 76ers, which I don't think many people, if any, would have had this to be their start to their season. So the Sixers, how have you felt about them and their start to the season?
To me, they feel like 2 teams stitched together. And it's one team's the front court, the rest of the team's the backcourt. It feels like the process era in Philadelphia is over, right. And that could be a really good thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so, because we had talks about I want to say in our first year doing this, so that's about 2 years ago now, talking about is it time to kind of move on from Embiid? The signs are there, he's slowing down, he's not healthy when it matters. Should they get ahead of this and move on from Embiid? They held on to him, of course, because he's their franchise guy. He was the face of the process, so they held on to him. But now you're seeing just where that kind of goes with his knee health. He's on a strict minutes restriction, but how they've built the team around Embiid has worked out quite well. They missed with the Paul George thing, I think, but they've drafted well, especially with the 2 guys in particular, with Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, who's been off to a terrific start to his rookie campaign, his NBA career.
Unbelievable. Yeah,
just amazing stuff on both ends of the court, defense and offense. It's just been tremendous. I want to start with Maxey, though. He's taken another step, is what it seems like. It seems like he's always just progressing a little more every year. Last year, he ran into a little bit of health issues, but it seems like those are behind him. And he's come out this year averaging 33 points. Sorry, my assists are at the top and he's at the bottom. 9 assists, 2.5 turnovers, 1.5 steals. About 5 rebounds per game on great efficiency, as we know from Maxey to be. I'm just thinking, like, has he taken that next step into like an all NBA level player? Is that where he is now? And can he, if the Sixers, we're going to talk about some MVPs later, but can he, if the Sixers can maintain like a top three position in the East, it's early, but can he can he sneak into that MVP race?
First of all, yeah, by all accounts, he's taken another leap, and I think he's at the All NBA level. I don't think he's at the MVP level. I think he'd have to take one more. Like right now, he reminds me of when Shea figured out that he can just like manipulate defenses at will with his like start stop and his herky jerkiness. Maxey seems to have figured out that like with his like 60 to 100 burst. So like when he's coming at you at one speed and then just able to go so much faster in like one step, he's figured out how to use that to just manipulate defenses to do whatever he wants and get calls if he needs calls and make offense when he needs to make offense. But he's still a step away from like MVP, still a step away from like, okay, now it's all working and I'm adding it to the team as well, right? Like everything I do now rubs off on the rest of the team, right? And that's what I think you need when you're like an MVP. You just get that gravity that like all the plays come your way, everything opens up for everybody else, and you use them, right? So he's one step away from that right now. I mean, obviously it's early, but like he could regress.
Yeah, he definitely could regress.
But yeah, I really like the Philadelphia backcourt, Maxey especially.
Yeah, it pains me to say how much I like that. Those two in particular. I don't want to love the Sixers stuff, but those two in particular, especially VJ. Now, do we see VJ with his two-way ability sneaking away that Rookie of the Year from a Cooper Fleck, who is the perennial favorite entering into this season, with all the freedom he was supposed to have with the Mavericks, which I think kind of worked against him so far. Like we thought it might be something good for him. It might still be good for him later on, like dealing with all this. Dealing with all the pressure, being the guy right now. They have him playing out of position. He's not a point guard, but he's doing a lot of ball handling stuff, and that's not really his game, but he's had to do it. So maybe that's something that benefits him later on in the season. But as of right now, you're seeing the growing pains with that. So do we see like a VJ overtaking him and being the Rookie of the Year this year?
I think if VJ continues to score, he's going to be Rookie of the Year. I think with Cooper, and we mentioned it before, like Cooper is a better Scotty Barnes, in that like he's both ends of the court. He does a little bit of everything. This is why you can come out the gate and have Cooper run point guard, even though he's never played point guard. It's because he can do a little bit of everything, right? It's the 15 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 blocks, or 5 stocks, kind of formula, right? But Scotty ended up winning Rookie of the Year mostly because like Cade and Jalen Green underperformed, and Mobley was 2 years away from really kind of
being what he should be.
Being what he was going to need to be. So Scotty kind of snuck in there and grabbed it with those kinds of numbers, those 15 5-5-5s, which I expect Cooper to be like, I don't know, 10 to 20% better than Scotty. So maybe like 17 6-6-6 kind of thing. But if VJ is like 25 a game playing winning basketball for a team that everybody thought was going to lose, I think he's got it. Plus he's explosive, he's exciting, he's all those things, right? Like one of the fun things about like the draft stuff is like player comps, and some people really hate player comps. I think they're kind of fun because every once in a while you get one where it's like, the player comp's always like, oh, if they become the best version of themselves, right, they're going to be this player. And the best version of VJ Edgecombe that I saw as a player comp was Vince Carter. And right now he's playing like Vince Carter. It's awesome.
No, that's great. Like what he's been doing on, again, like on both ends of the court, like 1.5 steals per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 20 points a game, 42% from the three, which I think that is the big swing for him. Is like people, I think coming into the league they're questioning whether he'll be able to extend his range to 3-point, because he wasn't like a prolific 3-point shooter at all or anything like that. That was kind of like the swing skill, I guess, for him. And he's come out the gate shooting it well and confidently off the dribble, catching shoots. So I guess that's the one thing. If we're looking for something to decline from him throughout the season, it might be that 3-point shot. This could be just a hot stretch for him when it comes to that. But I think the defense is what's going to be there throughout the entire season, which is super impressive. I think I heard somewhere that he was like a Wade fan, which is why he plays so hard on the defensive end. He liked that Wade can like block shots and then like dunk on somebody on the other end, and that's exactly what he's been been trying to do. So so I like a lot what I see from him. But yeah, if the 3-point shot is real, then I think he has a serious case of being not only rookie of the year this year, but just a tremendous like all-star level player for like years to come.
Yes, absolutely. And he's really fun. He's just really fun.
Super funny.
He's a great player to watch.
He tried to dunk on somebody the other night, and it was just outrageous. He didn't get it, but it was like, it reminded me like a little bit of Anthony Edwards-ish, like just trying to like massacre somebody. I think it was Giannis. I think it was Giannis. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. Yeah. Any more on the Sixers before we move on? Like I was gonna say they should move PG if they can. I don't think they can at this point. I think he's kind of a sunken cost.
Yeah. So the Sixers are a really interesting case study because, yeah, I mean, like they don't even have Jared McCain back yet.
Yeah, that's true.
PG is still hurt, right? He could come back and look good. Good, right? So this team still has like a lot of firepower that they have to like work into the mix. I'm sure they would like to move Paul George and maybe exchange Joel Embiid, but I think the new like CBA is kind of like it's really going to change the way that like guys get paid, because I think if you look around, you probably look at your own team, but if you look around, there's a lot of teams that have a lot of players that they would probably like to move, but nowhere to move them to.
Yeah.
Think of like the Kings, right? Like that whole roster, they want to move that whole roster. Where are they going?
They try to give them to the Warriors, and the Warriors are just like, nope, we're okay.
No, thank you. Like, why would we want these? Why would we want to muck it up with these guys? They're all good players individually, just like they just don't really like contract wise and like role wise fit a lot of teams right now.
Yeah.
And you know, if things go south for a couple teams, like if it goes wrong in Milwaukee, everybody but Giannis, people will be like, do we really want them?
Yeah, we don't.
Right? Toronto, Toronto's the same thing. The front court in Philadelphia right now, I'm sure they would like to move. But is Charlotte going to pick up Paul George right now for pennies on the dollar? No.
The older Brandon Miller.
Yeah. Also, unfortunately, hurt.
Yeah. Just like his idol, man. No, it's tricky. It's tricky for a lot of these teams. They're getting stuck like in these situations, especially teams that like before this new CBA was really implemented or before teams really saw the consequences of this new CBA are stuck with some of these like Paul George contracts where it's just like extremely hard to like move off of right now and to fit into different teams. I think a team, I guess we can get into it now, a team that it's kind of facing that question right now is Memphis, with Ja and all the news around Ja is like, and I don't know, like I think the report came out earlier today that if Ja was to hit the open market, there wouldn't be a robust market for him. And I think that's just due to, again, play style, contract, fit. He fits a very specific type of team. At this stage in his career, and he's looked like he's regressed. He's not finishing the same at the rim as we were accustomed to him doing. His defensive effort has been lacking at times. He got called out by his coach and then suspended for his comments after that. So he's looking like to be, a little bit of a hothead with his coaches right now in that perspective. It could be just tired of being in Memphis. He wasn't fond of the last coach. He might just need a change of scenery. What do you make of the Ja and Memphis situation?
I mean, I think you hope that it's just like a change of scenery, or you hope that it's just like a level of growing pains similar to what Zion went through. That like when he gets himself right, like it'll all be normal again. Maybe the best version of Ja. But I think Memphis is probably, and this is probably extremely difficult for a franchise to get to a point with what you thought would be or is your franchise player to say it's not worth it anymore, right? Like it's not working with them for whatever reasons. They're unhappy, we're unhappy, and we need to move an asset, because I don't know if you ever get proper value for a superstar.
No.
I don't know if Ja is still a superstar. It'll be really, really kind of awkward when he ends up in Miami, and the coach that's got you guys running so much was the coach that Ja got fired because he didn't like running that much.
Yeah, he didn't like that. He didn't like that system because it was a lot. Because one of the things that they noted with the new Heat system, they don't run pick and rolls anymore. They barely run them. They're last in the league in pick and rolls, and they were like one of the top teams in the league. And that's what Ja likes, is pick and roll. Honestly, that's kind of the reason why I feel that Kyle has struggled a little bit. Is like that offense doesn't have that easy pick and roll game where he can just get easy buckets off of anymore. It's a lot more spacing and playing with your guys, filling open spots, and just being playing good positional basketball. And reading and reacting basketball. And Kel is still being young. That's not his forte right now. So I think just not having that pick and roll partner that he's used to having is affecting him. Maybe bringing a Ja that helps. The Miami thing is interesting. So I think if you asked me last year, I would have been all fully in on bringing in Ja as your point guard. Because for years I've been saying they needed a point guard. They need a point guard. But at this stage, I kind of feel like their guard situation is all right, and their wings again need to be reworked again. Jaime has looked really well early on, but Jovic, Wiggins has his good games. Wiggins has his off games too. He he's gonna bring it two ways. He's gonna play defense. He's gonna try on offense. Just doesn't seem like this new offensive system is perfect for him either. He needs to be more of a fourth option than like a second or third option on the team, Wiggins as well. So I feel like the wing situation is where the Miami needs the most improvement now. Where now with the guards, I've liked what Davion's given them. Norm's been good. We know Harrell's coming back soon. They drafted KJ, who I think eventually will be a good, solid pass first point guard, the point guard that you're kind of hoping to be. So I don't know if you really need to, man, go for a Ja in the way that you would have maybe a year or two ago. I think that's just the case with a lot of these teams right now. How much are you really going to give up for a guy like that who you're uncertain of, who has severe injury history, has not played all in the last couple of years due to whether it be injury or suspension or whatever it be. He was almost slated to play his first 7 games in a row for the first time before he got suspended from the last game. So he has to come back and try to do that again. He hasn't done that since 2003. Or sorry, not 2003. That'll be a long time ago. 2023.
Yeah.
So it's still a few years ago. That hasn't been the case for him staying healthy on the court. So I'm not sure like how many teams are really willing to take that risk that they might have a year or two ago.
Well, my 2K brain was like, oh man, it would be so cool if somehow the Heat ended up with Ja and Zion, and then we might as well send them RJ Barrett as well, just so they can have like a Heatles 2.0, right? Just like a 2018 draft class Heatles. But unfortunately, yeah, the Heat don't look like they need it so much. So maybe Ja's just going to get traded to the Pelicans for Derek Queen.
I would really, if we're talking Ja trades, a little outlandish is what I would say, but I would like him on Minnesota. I don't know how he gets there. if that works well or not. But I would like them. They like Conley is just they're playing Dante DiVincenzo as their point guard because Conley's just aging out of the role. Who I like Conley a lot for that team. But he's just aging out of what he can be, what they need him to be for that role. You bring in a young guy like Trey might hit the market too at some point. Trey, you bring in. I think Ja's more of a that backcourt that backcourt of Ja and Ant would just. You have to have a strong coach for that. That's all I would say. A strong-minded coach to manage that. But if you can harness that, that would be quite a exciting backcourt.
Absolutely. I've always thought LaMelo would be
another one who could hit
funnest running mate, but at the same time as well, you don't. Do you want to send another guy in there that could take touches away from Ant? But they're going to open up space for him too. So
yeah, it's very tricky. And you have Randall there too. And I guess you would have to move Randall in a deal like that. To be honest, I don't think that would blend too well. But yeah, if you have like a Randall or something like that too, it's gonna be it won't be a clean fit, I don't think. But it'll just be the entertainment value would just be sky high.
That's the only reason I tune in. So,
yeah, it's what most of us do. Speaking on like more letdowns, though, I think we can move on to his draft mate there, Zion. Again, he entered the season with I had high hopes for them. I came on here last week talking about how I think they can make a push into the playoffs this year. It's early, but it doesn't look good for them whatsoever right now. Trey Murphy's had a slow start. He's picked up a little bit in the last couple of games. They just don't seem to have too much depth. I like what Jeremiah has been able to provide for them. But he's a rookie. So it's tough to really rely on stuff like that. What have you seen from the Pelicans that have is it sign for worry, or do you think they can just pick it up in a couple weeks and this will be forgotten?
No, I think it's sign for worry. I think it's I think we all get excited with young teams with like lots of interesting players, but we forget that they still have to like grow into the role, right? So it was like when you and I got infatuated with Detroit a year early.
Yeah.
There can be a lot of good young talent there that we know is going to be good and it's going to work at some point if you give them time. But I think right now, I just think they're not quite there. Too young, too reliant on guys like Fears, like Queen when he's like fully ready. Yeah. Zion, even with Zion, it's like it's a new version of Zion again. It's
like relearn himself.
It's young, like skinny Zion again, right? Like he's not playing as much bully ball, right? He's playing transition ball, and I think through the last couple of years, he's learned a couple things about his body, like, I remember you telling me the thing that scared you about him when he came into the league was you were afraid of the way that he landed, right?
Yes, him and Ja, both of them did well.
And here's a couple guys who've had, leg injuries, ankle injuries, knee injuries, hip injuries. So there's also like, this will be the year that we see if Zion can apply all those lessons as well, right? So it's not just applying lessons about how to be a productive basketball player, but applying lessons to be a long-standing basketball player, right? So it's a team that's, I think, doing a little bit more learning than we anticipated they would be doing. So I think, and they're in the West, so they're just gonna be in the
tough. It's really tough.
They gave away a really good pick.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, difficult move to look back on now. Especially with how Derek Queen's he's a nice player and all, but it's just, man, you would love to have that pick back. I think if you were there.
Yeah, I think so.
Because you're not even I don't even think they're not even starting him. They brought in Looney's getting good minutes. No, there's another big that they brought in. DeAndre Jordan taking minutes from Derek Queen. I couldn't believe
that should tell you everything you need to know, right?
Yeah, Yves Missy's getting a lot of minutes.
Yeah,
it's just a mess.
Yves should get minutes.
He's young too. Yeah, so it should be it should be Queen and Eve's basically holding down that front court. We just
Mhm.
have so many other cooks in that kitchen for whatever reason. Like Looney's there for to be a veteran presence, which I understand, but just a lot to be
Yeah.
over there.
Just DeAndre Jordan shouldn't be the one getting minutes.
No, of all the players, he should not be the
Right.
one.
Yeah.
He should not be the one. Yeah, I'm interested in this team still. I want to see if they pick myself out. Close the wrong tab.
Whoops.
I think we're still recording. So, yeah, I still have hope in this team. I still think they could make some noise, but I think it's going to be difficult being in the West. It's going to be a tricky situation for the Pelicans to get in. I don't know how they really dig themselves out of this asset wise. You know, you've burnt those picks. It's going to be hard to draft yourself out of this one. So we'll see how they manage to get through this situation. Another situation that needs attending to is the Warriors. Started off really hot. They looked really good those first few games. Jimmy,
Yeah.
again, like the thing that I really like about Jimmy and the Steph pairing is I don't think Steph has had a player like Jimmy who can just get to the free throw line when they need to, not reliant on his 3-point shooting, not relying on any shooting really, but when things need to happen on offense and Steph doesn't necessarily have it going, they can go to Jimmy and Jimmy can find a way to get you a bucket, whether it be somewhere in the paint or just at the free throw line. One of the notable stats I think relates to the Heat is like once he left, the Heat went to the bottom of free throw attempts in the league, or free throw rate. The six Warriors went to to be one of the top. So just his impact along that end of the court is just immense and valuable to a guy like Steph. My worry comes now with them. They've lost a couple games, and there was a report earlier today that stated that the team was trying, because I think in all 7 games, Steph, Jimmy, Draymond have played all of them. They haven't missed a game yet, which is great. Shows that the older guys are still finding ways to be healthy through all the games, which is good. But they had a meeting to try to figure out if there's ways that they can rest certain games so they can stay fresh for when they need it in the playoffs. And that kind of worries me 7 games into the season that they're already planning for that. Because how are they going to manage a full playoff run if you're gonna have these situations pile up now? Like, are you gonna be too beat up by the time the playoffs comes that any little nick is gonna harm you like it did in the last playoffs? I think the foundation there is great. The offense still needs some work. It's still too top heavy. Still relies on Steph being a miracle worker at times and Jimmy doing Jimmy things at times, which can get you far, but I don't think it's ultimately it's going to bring you into the upper echelon when you have to go against a Denver or a OKC or teams of that nature. So how are you feeling though about the Warriors and how their outlook is looking for this season?
So I'm pretty confident on them. I think they're more the team that they showed us to be right at the beginning of the season, where it's a good collection of talent. And I do think like having meetings early in the season about, hey, we're a bunch of old men here who are playing old man ball and are doing so with old man bodies that require more rest than 23-year-olds. And being smart about that early is it's not appealing as a fan base, but it's probably smart so that they go into the playoffs and like LeBron James in his 40s isn't gonna miss games in the playoffs. Very likely, right? Especially not for just rest.
Right.
If he's got an injury, of course. But like old guys like myself can do it for a compressed period of time, but not necessarily like a full year. So it makes sense to try and rest. It would also make sense to just let Jimmy get more touches, get more free throws, and then you get moments throughout the game where you can put your hands on your shorts.
Yeah, if your stuff. Yep.
Grab a couple breaths. Those are like micro rests, right? Just let Jimmy shoot free throws and tell him to take his time.
Use those 10 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will say I've also liked Kuminga coming into this season, because there's a lot of turmoil when it came to him. It didn't seem like he was too adamant of staying a Warrior. Basically just because of how he's been used in the past. Like, he's wanted a little more freedom, he's wanted to show what he's got. He was a highly scouted, highly recruited prospect I think he wants to show that he has that potential. And I think he feels as if he's been limited a bit in the Warriors system that's been catering to the older guys all the time. So a lot of the younger guys, we've seen Wiseman, even a guy like Moody is kind of like falling to the wayside a bit. So I think Kuminga felt, for me to really find my true self, I might need to go elsewhere. They didn't really oblige to that, as they have their right. He was still under contract to them. So they came to some terms to make it work for this year. But I've liked the mentality that he's coming to the season with. He's doing all the little things that he wasn't doing in years past, to help them win, to play winning basketball. And I think the more that he does that, the more playing time he gets, and then the more time he gets to do what he wants to do, and gets the freedom that he will earn, that freedom that he's desperately wanted in his NBA career.
Well, I think I saw Steve Kerr somewhere say that he's like unequivocally now a starter. Like he's earned it, and he's there. He's doing the work. He's done the work to address some of his shortcomings, and he is now a starter. And it's always kind of difficult when coaches like go the real hard route with players, because you don't know if they're gonna if it's gonna work out or if they're gonna crack. And there were a lot of times where the Warriors could have moved on from Kuminga, and this whole thing could have fallen apart. Like he could have moved somewhere, not been pushed, not got fully realized. But now, yeah, he looks like a really good player. Is he an all-star? Could be. We'll see. On that team, unlikely, just because it's going to be Steph.
Yeah, it's gonna be Steph, then Jimmy, and then maybe you get the Kuminga look.
Yeah. Which the West is too good. The Warriors won't have 3 all-stars. So, if he gets to Utah because they trade him for Lauri Markkanen, he could be potentially be an all-star, right?
He'd be all-star.
which is in a way, you can contribute that to like Steve Kerr and his work, right? And it's not an approach that works for a lot of players. A lot of modern day, just like sports people, don't respond well to that approach.
Yeah.
So it's
very tricky.
Yeah, it's a credit, I think, a lot to Kuminga himself to push through it. But I would not suggest he holds a lot of loyalty towards Golden State, and should opportunities arise, or should he just feel like he does need to move on, I think now they might actually entertain the idea of like,
and it helps both sides out.
Yeah,
it helps both sides out. I think before teams were kind of skittish on like, is he really going to be able to take a next step with us? Like we haven't seen it. We haven't seen him really do it. We've seen like small flashes in games here and there, but we haven't seen it sustained. So it's still early, but maybe this is more sustainable than it has been in the past. Feels more sustainable because he's doing the little things to help out. So yeah, I think the first chance they get, I think this helps both out. It gives teams an idea of like what they're trading for, and what they can expect potential wise. And I think for him, I think it's good because it shows his range. It shows that, look, guys, I want X amount of money in my contracts. This is why. Look at all the different things I could do, and I'm playing defense too. I'm contributing to one of the better defensive teams in the league. So I think all these things, I think are great. And I think it was a good mentality. I know people were kind of hard on Kuminga throughout the whole time, just about his attitudes, his approach to it. But I think if you're not vocal about these things, sometimes you just get lost in the mix, and then you don't get the thing that you ultimately want, and you lose the opportunity to go for those things. So I think him being vocal about it, since he was under contract anyway, I don't think it really hampered much for him at all. I think it's really done him maybe even a better service, because it put eyes on like, look, this is what I want. I will show you that this is what I want, and if I don't show you, then it's on me, type of thing.
Yeah, you hear the term bet on yourself a lot, right? And that's often like foregoing one contract to try and play your way into another. With Kuminga, he bet on himself as far as like media pressure. Because you're right, he like created it by talking about what he wanted and how he felt he deserved it. And even though the rest of us were like, we think you're a bit like ahead of the cart there, buddy. He brought it into the national dialogue, and Kuminga became a guy that people talked about. And So he had to bet on himself as far as like creating that development and becoming the guy that he says he was always going to be. So it's a different way of bet on yourself, but I'm impressed with him. I really am. I'd like to see, honestly though, I would like to see him on a different team because I don't think he's going to get the leash and the run out and like the plays called for him in Golden State that he might get elsewhere.
Yeah. I think ultimately he needs to get somewhere else. Especially if Jimmy is going to be there for until he's retired. I think I think it's going to be really tough to really be who he wants to be with the Warrior team, which is a shame because I think something with him and Steph would be nice to see. I think they could work off each other nicely, but I just ultimately, I think it's almost ran its course. I think this is the last year where he puts in the full effort to be the guy that they want him to be. And I think from there he's gonna try and find his own road. Yeah, and I think moving on to players that are like having spectacular starts to the season. We have like an MVP race, a really early MVP race that I think is more exciting than we've had in the last couple of years, where it's felt like it's been between two players. We've had the Jokic and Embiid battles, we've had the Jokic Shea battles. Like I think it's more or less been a two-player race. Maybe Giannis sneaks in there once in a while, but it seems like a lot of voter fatigue, fan fatigue with Giannis seems to get at him and pushes him down that list a lot. But I feel this year, at least in this early goings, I can think of about 5 guys who would be easily deserving of MVP honors, and I wouldn't be surprised if that net even widens a bit more as we go down. I have it here as like in no order, but Giannis, Jokic, Shea, Wemby, and Luka as the guys that I can see early on being like MVP. If any one of those guys got MVP, I could totally understand it at this point.
Yeah, I agree 100% on that list. Is there anyone else? Would you put an Ant in there? Or is he just too far out still?
I think he's just too far out. Like if his team does really well, he'll get some nods because he has that media cachet. He's very likable. He puts up good numbers when he is healthy, and I think he's taken another step. He talked about some of the mid-range stuff that he worked on in the offseason, looking at Jordan and all that type of stuff. So I think he might be able to sneak his way into this conversation, depending on how well Minnesota pans out as well. But yeah, with these 5 players here, I know Shea won it last year in a tough race, very debatable race. We debated lots. But my favorite, even entering the season, I think was Wemby. I really wish I put money on it to start because now he's the favorite to win everything, including most improved somehow, which I don't know how that's even a thing. but apparently he's the favorite for that as well. But I think right now my favorite would be Wembanyama, followed by a Shea or Luka. I think people are kind of underrating what Shea's been doing to start. They're 7-0 again. He's leading them in points. He's leading them 2 ways again. But then you look at guys like Jokic, who's had triple-double basically every game. He's not playing his best, but he's still getting triple-doubles every game. You have Giannis being a two-way monster, and you have Luka putting in 40-point triple-doubles. So it's hard to – I don't think there's no real right answer at this point.
No, and remember that like every league and the NBA is certainly guilty of this. Every league is a copycat league, right? So it seems like every team – watched the finals last year and was like, all right, next year we're going to run. We're just going to run all the time. We're going to create tons and tons of offense. Because like the amount of 40 plus point games has been ridiculous to start the season. And it got me wondering like what's leading to this massive league-wide outbursts in scoring where like a 40-point game now feels like a 30-point game and a 30-point game now feels like a 20-point game where like multiple times my guy Scotty Barnes has gotten 30-point games this year and it's like Scotty's just not that scorer, right? Like but he's getting these opportunities because the Raptors are running a lot, right? And every team is running a lot, so you've got skinny Luca out there getting up and down the court,
Yeah.
and he's got the ball in his hands all the time. And it's just like, is this just an uptick in opportunities? How many more possessions are we
Can we
seeing
create?
per game, right? And who's taking those possessions? Like, who's taking the shots on those?
I think when it comes to that, when you mentioned copycat league with OKC, what they did so well was they turned their defense into offense, and they just ran tremendously off of that. I think we're seeing that with a lot of teams. Are like, if we can get
The
any type
Pacers
of
just ran all the time.
Pacers just ran. They didn't care when it happened. Basket, no basket, out of bounds. We are going to run. Yeah, but I think a lot of teams saw that and they're like, yeah, we can. Yeah, Pacers got to the finals off of that. So I think a lot of teams saw that and there was like, yeah, if we can just figure out a way to create these opportunities to run a little more. You see it in Miami. They are a team that never runs as much as this. They're a very opportunistic running team. Even when they had Wade and LeBron, two guys who were in their athletic primes at the time, who ran fast breaks really well. They ran it super efficiently, but they didn't run a lot. They only ran when it made sense. But now, yeah, it just seems like, no, we're going to run, we're going to push, we're going to figure out ways to just put the defense on its heels at all points in time. Because if we let anybody set up in this league, it's going to be hard to get through that half court offense.
No, and that's how I see it right now. And we may see teams slow down, especially as we get into the new year, right? We'll see who's going to continue to run. There'll be teams that are able to like force their play style on other teams more effectively. And if you're one of those teams, it may be interesting for you to force a slowdown, because you may be able to disrupt these running teams a little bit more.
Yeah.
Which will then indicate like how will these teams fare in the playoffs, right? Like one of Indiana's pieces of magic last year was that even though it's the playoffs and the game slows down, they still ran all the time, everywhere.
We'll find a way.
And it really worked, right? So we'll see which teams can keep the style going, even when it gets tough to keep the style going. If you know,
and there'll be an interesting contrast tonight as we record this. The game will be done by the time you guys hear this. But we have the Clippers tonight, who are playing the Heat. Clippers have had they're the slowest team in the league currently. He have been the fastest team in the league. So to see that contrast tonight would be one of those, we could see how that works. Will the Heat just falter when they have to slow down? Will the Clippers be able to keep up with that pace? That contrast is going to be one to watch, and one that I like watching. That's something that you see in the playoffs more often, like these two, like when Indiana, I think they were playing, New York. Yeah, New York.
Yes.
And it was that type of contrast. It was the same type of thing where Indiana was running all the time, and New York wanted to slow it down more, play rugged style type of basketball. So yeah, seeing those contrasts is always one of the most fun things you could see in the NBA. Looking at this teams here, I just want to see if there's any.
Also, Wembanyama is incredible. His leap this year has been unreal. Even though he just came off a game where he scored like 9 points, he's still like averaging 30 points per game and like 15 rebounds.
And like 6 blocks or like 4 blocks or something crazy like
that. something just insane. It's a completely different level. Somebody's going to figure out the best way to play him. Maybe it's just play him tight, play him physical. Maybe you got to put like a tiny, wing on him, like Alex Caruso on Jokic.
That's been like, I think what's been worked, because for his size, he's been especially this year, his ball handling has been tremendous. I think the big change from him from last year to this year is that his attempts at the 3-point line has been lower, and when he does shoot from three, it's a little more calculated than it was in the past. I felt like in the past he was kind of just getting them up to get him up, because he's like, I can shoot threes, I want to show I can shoot threes, so I'm gonna shoot threes. But now it feels like I'm gonna try and get to the rim first. If that doesn't work, I will shoot the 3, or I'll shoot a contested jumper, because I'm 7'5". I can still do that. But the attempts to go to the rim first, every move, even like when he's doing pump fakes, up fakes, he's trying to get to the rim first. And if that doesn't pan out, then he's stepping back to the 3-point line and shooting that shot, which he can hit. We know he can hit that too, but it doesn't seem to be like his main focus as it was in the past, which I think is just increases efficiency. It's increased his play. It's increased just everything around him. It's just been a treat to watch. Like some of the moves that this guy's pulled off this year, it's like, how is this like? You were 7'5". Do you know that? Like, have you realized that you shouldn't be doing? You shouldn't be catching the ball on the wing for a turnaround fadeaway like you're Michael Jordan. Like that's just not what we expect from guys of your size.
So because he's been so good, the other thing is Dylan Harper's been really good, like really good. And if this was like normal team building, right? Those two guys would end up growing together, right? Steven Castle's taking a big step forward, so he just looks ready, right? Like Steven Castle just looks like he's been in the league for like, or Stephen Castle, sorry, looks like he's been in the league for like 5 years. Obviously, when Fox gets back, he'll be the lead ball handler and take on his role. So it makes me wonder if because Wemby is so far ahead of schedule, he actually puts the team further ahead of schedule, and whether or not Dylan Harper, even though he's probably going to be a top 10 point guard in this league when he's fully realized, does he get moved for not just like a useful player, but like a star player?
I
next
think
to Wemby, like we're talking like superstar or like fringe superstar, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. That's the only reason why you traded Dylan Harper, is for someone of that caliber. They're gonna have a tricky situation coming up on them pretty quickly. They're kind of lucky right now because, unlucky in the fact that Dylan Harper just got hurt, but lucky in the fact that they don't have to manage playing Harper, Castle, and Fox yet. Because I guess Fox should be coming back relatively soon, but Harper will still be out. So you don't have to deal with that mismatch as yet. But I think they are gonna get into a position where I always thought Fox was going to be the odd man out, so I thought they're going to want to keep that young core together, that young build. But I think you're right. I think like if they're so far ahead, like if you're right now second in the West, then do you need to keep all these young guys, or do you need to keep still developing? If Wemby's this good right now, should you be looking to make that push to be a contender? Like, are you the Houston Rockets where you're like, let's add a KD, let's add something of that level to just bring us further and make us a true threat in the West?
Yeah, like do they go and find, like, currently Julian Champagnie is playing power forward on the Spurs. If it doesn't go well for these teams, are you looking to move Harper for Giannis, for Jaren Jackson Jr., for Bam Adebayo, for Scotty Barnes, for one of these like premier power forwards that are out there, right? Because most of those teams probably wouldn't listen, but you've got Dylan Harper.
Right? Like, that's as much of a little prize to listen to. Like that would get me to listen.
When I brought up Bam, were you like, well, how dare you? And then I'm like, Dylan Harper, and you're like,
this is Dylan Harper, like you gotta think about it. Like he is like 20 years old. Like he's gonna be there for a long time. Like he will be your franchise guy. He looks tremendous coming out of this in his rookie year. Like the only reason why he's not in the rookie of the year conversations because he's on the Spurs, and he has to share his touches with Castle and Wemby and these Vassell, like all these guys, all these guardy wing guys that taking looks away from him. If it wasn't for that, he probably would be in this rookie of the year conversation as well. I always thought it'd be Fox that doesn't move first, but then they gave him that contract. And I was like, I don't know if you can. I don't know how much you can move
him, so it doesn't feel like they would move him like the very next year.
Yeah. It feels like they've committed to him. They made this commitment to him. They're like one of the guys that they spent some of their assets on, not a lot of it, but some of their assets on to bring in. So you've invested in this guy, so it'd be hard to move him a year or two later. But I don't know, like Castle Harper, the size on that backcourt is intriguing. It is very intriguing. All Spurs have options, which is good, which is a good thing.
Yeah. We'll be talking about the Spurs a lot this year, which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing. It's good when the Spurs are good. Any other real surprises that you have on either end of either conference in the East or the West? Do you want to talk about before we head out?
I'd like the Magic to be a little better than they are.
Yeah, that's been a little bit of a disappointing start.
But hopefully it's just a thing where they got to like shake into it.
Yeah.
I was surprised that it was the Suns that beat the Spurs for their first win and the Spurs' first loss. There's been some moments like that where it's just like really good teams are seemingly only being beat by like really, really bad
catching them by surprise.
Yeah, a little bit. Like when the Raptors beat the Cavaliers, but like the Cavs didn't have Don Mitchell or Garland or anybody. I was still I was like, really? Like this just happened? We beat the Cavs?
Beat them. Yeah.
Right. So it's early.
It's early, but I think for me, like the Portland Trailblazers being 4-2 after Chauncey's no longer the coach is hilarious. I don't know what that means. I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying it's funny. I don't know what it means.
The morale's better on the team playing because they're not losing to Chauncey all the time.
Not losing to Chauncey to the Mafia. Not losing poker games to the Mafia anymore. They're feeling great. They're feeling great. Denver has come out looking really good. I'll say that. We talk about surprising 50-point games, 40-point games. Aaron Gordon had one to start the season. But yeah, Denver has looked really good. I like seeing what they built in the offseason and seeing it come to fruition now. It looks good. It looks good, and I think they're going to be a threat. I think they're a real contender to win the West as they are the last few years. This year as well.
And that's with like Cam Johnson still just working his way in.
Yeah, just figuring himself out.
Figuring out where he's going to get his touches.
Playing winning basketball again. It's been a while since he's played winning basketball. Like he hasn't had to. Nothing's mattered for him for a couple of years now. So it's all new to him.
Yeah. So there's been some comparisons between like his production and Michael Porter Jr.'s production, but they're in very different situations.
Yeah,
very different. And
MPJ is probably on the time of
winning basketball. MPJ is just throwing him up. He gets the ball, he just throws it up. Right?
And no one's yelling at him for it anymore.
No, they're like applauding him. They're like, "You did so good."
Yeah. You passed one more time than Cam Thompson. So you're doing good. I think that will do it for this episode of the NBA Hangout presented by Playbook Sports. You can follow us at the NBA Hangout on Twitter, Instagram, and that stuff. We'll try to get clips up on there, especially on Instagram. Try to do that a little bit more this year. You can follow us on YouTube. We're on YouTube. You can see our faces if you'd like to. You can follow me on Twitter at BJAY93_. And you can follow Dave here next week, as we always do. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. Peace.